نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Zuleika at a point goes to Aziz and she says to her husband that I fear that I may fall into wrong if Joseph stays at our house. It is better that he is imprisoned. Aziz, knowing full well the innocence of Joseph, decides that it is in the best interest of Zuleika and in the best interest of Joseph and everyone concerned that some charge is brought against Joseph and that Yusuf is placed inside the prison. Yusuf is wrongfully convicted. He enters into the prison. The prisoners see him as a truthful person, righteous person, a person who is dignified and has a lot of integrity. He is soft-spoken, speaks very little, and yet his speech is full of wisdom and light. Two other people enter into the prison with Joseph, as the Quran narrates. One who was formerly the cupbearer of the king, and the other one who was the cook of the king. They both dreamt. So they went to Joseph. They said, Joseph, O truthful one, inform us of the interpretation of our dreams. One said, I see crumbs of bread upon my head and birds eating from it. And the other said, I see myself pouring wine for the king. Joseph first admonishes them about following the monotheistic religion and asks them, is it better to follow the religion in which we are only serving one God? Or is it better to follow a religion in which we are serving multiple gods about whom we have no knowledge nor has any authority been sent down? In this way, Yusuf was making most of the opportunity presented to him. And he was reasoning with them that by worshipping multiple gods, we are being distracted. He said, O my companions of the prison, as for one of you, you will be crucified, and the birds will eat crumbs of bread from on top of your head, and the other one will pour wine for the king. And then the Quran says, as for the one that was going to be saved by the assumption of Yusuf, he said to him, mention me to your Lord so that he may know an innocent person has been imprisoned for no sin or crime. Quran says, and Shaitan made that person forget. As to the nature of Shaitan here and forgetfulness here, we need to discuss this at length. But what we do find about Shaitan inducing fear in the hearts of his followers, as the Quran says, due to what they have earned, is that we, through our own actions, give access to the Shaitan, and Shaitan then is able, through a very natural way, make us forget or make us heedless or induce fear within our souls. So Shaitan here seems to be a part and parcel of our own psychological and physical constitution. At this point, the king has a dream. He sees himself by the river, and the river subsides. And then from the mud come out corns of ears. And then they disappear. And then other ones come out, which are all dried up. Then he sees 7 fat cows coming. And behind them are 7 lean cows. And the 7 lean cows consume the fat cows. He awakens and he is baffled. He summons his advisors, ministers, and the people who are heads of their religion and asks them to interpret the dream. All of them fail to offer an interpretation. They say this was a false dream or a nightmare or fanciful imaginations, and such things cannot be interpreted. At this point, the one who poured wine for the king suddenly remembers Joseph. And he said, I know somebody who can interpret your dream. Send me to him. He rushes to Joseph. He said, Joseph, O truthful one, what is the interpretation of this dream? Joseph said, you will have 7 years of plentiful rain, in which there will be a lot of grains and produce. Eat from it but a little, and save the rest. For after that will come 7 years of hardship and drought. Whatever you have saved in these 7 years, you shall eat in those 7 years, apart from a little that you will plant afterwards. And after the 7 years of drought shall come 1 year in which people will see plentiful of rain. He went back to the king and he gave him the interpretation. The king was amazed. He said, "Bring this man to me. I want him as my special advisor." They went back to Yusuf and Yusuf said, "No. Ask the king, what is the accusation due to which I am imprisoned? And what is the whole issue of the women cutting their hands and then blaming me?" Of course, the king, when he heard this, he summoned the women and they all said, "Yusuf is without fault. He's an innocent person, a decent person, a person with high sense of integrity and morality." Zuleika at this point had become an old woman. She broke her silence. She said, "I am the one who consistently tried to tempt him, but he resisted my temptations. He is a chaste and an innocent person." Zuleika said, "Let him know that I have not seen anybody but him and that I have lost my sanity in his love. But I have not betrayed him at all, and now I have spoken the truth." It appears that Aziz had died at this point. After this, there is no mention of Zuleika within the Quran, but we hear that Zuleika later on married Yusuf and he found her to be a virgin and that her youthfulness and beauty was restored. After being exonerated of all blame, Yusuf came to the king. Yusuf said to the king that not only Egypt but the surrounding areas will undergo a drought. You will sell the grain that you have in surplus to these areas, but not at a price that is unreasonable. You will sell it as a reasonable price. Yusuf here was mindful of the people and the lives. The king said, "I wish to give you a lofty position." Yusuf said, "Make me the chief minister." And at that point, Yusuf took the position that was held by Aziz whilst Aziz was alive.